Let's compare the Canon EOS R against the M50 and see what the difference is in image quality. I actually don't know if this is a useful test or not, but I like comparing things, so let's see what the difference is between a $600-ish camera and an $1,800-ish camera. So as you might know, both cameras do have dual pixel autofocus, they both have tilty flippy LCD screens, and they both have great image quality. And of course they are mirrorless cameras, with the M50 being Canon's first mirrorless camera that offers 4K. Now of course there are some differences, with the biggest one being sensor size. The M50 is a crop sensor, whereas the EOS R is a full frame, gloriously beautiful sensor. Now of course it does crop in if you shoot in 4K. The M50 has a bit of a 4K crop as well, but the biggest difference between that 4K is that the EOS R still has dual pixel autofocus in 4K, but the M50 does not have dual pixel autofocus in 4K, only in 1080p. If you're filming in 1080p, the M50 records at 60 megabits per second, but the EOS R records at 180 megabits per second. That's a pretty huge difference, and in 4K, the difference is even more obvious. The M50 records at 120 megabits per second, and the R does a massive 480 megabits per second. And what that really means, I honestly did not care about bit rates at all until I got the R and saw the difference. It basically means you've got more information packed into your footage, which helps improve overall image quality, and especially in the case of the R, it makes the footage much more adaptable to post-processing and editing. So I have to say, as silly as I thought this test was initially, I've actually been really impressed looking at the footage filmed with the M50 and the EOS R. The M50 holds up, like it holds its ground against a higher end camera really, really well. And just for good measure, I wanted to see 60 frames per second from each camera, slowed down to 24 frames per second. So what kind of slow motion capabilities does each camera offer? In terms of build quality, the two cameras are pretty different. They're both built very well. The R is much more robust, it's weather sealed. The M50 is smaller. It really feels more on par with like the Rebel series cameras. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because the Canon Rebels can really stand up to quite, a lot of use, and they last a really, really long time. I'm really impressed with how the M50 holds up against the EOS R. I think that this is an absolutely incredible camera. I know there are quite a few people, especially on YouTube, who are big fans of this camera and use it for everything. And it's got this amazing compact size. It delivers a lot. You've got the wonderful flip out screen. This is quite an incredible little camera, and despite the fact that it's really small, you can still swap out lenses. So I've honestly thought for myself that the M50 could be a really awesome second camera to have. But really there's only 3 reasons that I don't have an M50 myself, and it comes down to 4K. Not that I use 4K all that often on my EOS R, but I do use it fairly regularly, and having dual pixel autofocus, I mean, it's the best focusing system there is. Like, why wouldn't you want that? Manual focus in 4K, especially with these M series lenses, I found to be really difficult. It's like, I've had a really hard time telling when 4K footage is and is not in focus using manual focus. I don't know why. I haven't really enjoyed that very much. But the other 2 reasons that I haven't gotten an M50 for myself are the battery and the lenses. So the battery life on this is great. Like, it lasts a long time, especially if you're doing video. The battery's fine, but the only reason that I haven't gotten my own is because it doesn't take Canon's LPE6 style batteries, and I'm just in favor of simplicity. I like all my cameras to use the same batteries. So if you're doing any kind of travel, or you just want your life to be a little bit simpler and easier, the fact that you can use the same battery and the same charger across multiple cameras and devices just really helps to streamline everything. And then last but not least are the lenses. I'm not a huge fan of the M series lenses. They're fine. I mean, you can get great results, like they're very sharp. There's just nothing in the whole series that really stands out. Sigma and a few other companies are starting to release M series lenses that are pretty interesting, like some fast primes and all that, but nothing really crazy. And again, just like with batteries, having two sets of lenses just adds to kind of the clutter of the camera bag, and I like to try to avoid that. It is possible, and very worth mentioning, that you can get an EF adapter for the M50, which means you can use any of Canon's EF and EFS lenses with this camera, and that is a great option to kind of simplify that, open up some lens options. For me though, one of the benefits of the M50 would be its small size. Putting on an EF adapter and then a big old EF lens does kind of kill that. So I know I'm sort of complaining that like I'm not a huge fan of the lenses, and then I'm like, well, I also don't want to lose the ability to use those lenses. But really, if there was just an M series lens that was on par with like an L series lens, I don't know if that'd be practical for Canon to produce, but that would definitely, you know, I think make a lot of people give the M50 a second look. So who would the M50 be for? In my comparison, you know, 2.5 years after the camera was released, I would say if you're somebody who doesn't have a camera system yet and you're on a budget, this is a great way to get incredible results, especially if you're interested in the world of YouTube at all. Or if you're somebody who does have an existing camera setup and you want a second camera, but you don't mind having different batteries and different lens systems, again, this could be an absolutely awesome option. But despite the fact how much I love the M50, the EOS R really holds a special place in my heart. Even though it is more expensive, I still think the price is very reasonable for what you get. But in the last 8 or 9 months that I've been using it, I have grown to love it so much. It's basically my favorite camera. I get amazing results with it. It's fun to use. I've made quite a few videos about it. In fact, I actually put together a whole playlist of just some of my EOS R videos. So if you're interested in this camera right here, you want to know more about it, check that out, and I will see you over in those videos.